600,000 people got killed in that war. Old tactics, new technology. Not a very good combination. Now, even though this was the late, well, let me talk about the bullet real quick. Here's what this thing shoots. This is called the mini ball, or the mini bullet. For the $2,000 Jeopardy question, can anybody tell me why we call it the mini ball?
Name of the guy that made it.
Either of you. You would think so. That would make sense, especially after I told you that the Army isn't very imaginative. Do you have a different answer? Nope.
Mini.
Smaller than a cannonball.
The guy who invented its name was Minnie. This is a very large bullet, like I said, 58 caliber. Basic gist of it is us Americans are bad at pronouncing foreign people's words and names, so we butchered Mr. Minnie's name. Mr. Minnie's true name is Claude Monet. He was a French captain from France. A lot of stuff from France back then, the way we fight, the weapons we use, even the uniform was designed after the French uniform, because even back then France was the fashion capital of the world, and if you want your soldiers to look good, copy the French uniform. But anyway, Mr. Monet came up with this bullet. Number one, it's no longer a round musket ball. It's got a point on the front. It's conical. But the part we're real interested in is the back side. He put a hollow spot in it and kind of stick it on my pinky finger, almost like a symbol right here. That is the reason we can now give all of our soldiers a rifle, because of this hollow spot back here. For the rifling in the barrel to work on the bullet has to fit very tight in the barrel. So if you have a round musket ball that fits very tight in the barrel, after you shoot it 2 or 3 times, the black powder that these things used, it burns very dirty. It leaves a lot of residue behind. So after 3 or 4 shots, all that residue's built up. You can't load your tight-fitting musket ball in there anymore. You need to stop and clean your gun. The Army is not going to give you a gun that you can shoot 4 times before you spend 20 minutes cleaning. So what Mr. Minnie did with his design in this hollow spot in the back of the bullet, it allows this bullet to be small enough where it will easily load down the barrel even after you've shot it several times. But when you pack it down to the bottom of the barrel and it gets that gunpowder stuffed up in this hollow spot, lead is a very soft metal, so when the gunpowder explodes, the whole base of this bullet kind of expands. It grows to perfectly fit that barrel, grab the grooves, and come out spinning like it's supposed to. So the bullet is the reason we get to give everybody the rifle, not because we had just figured out rifling. They had known about that for quite some time. It just hadn't been practical to give everybody until we had a higher technology bullet with the mini ball, or the Monet ball. So that's what this thing shoots. Now the way this thing loads is kind of interesting. It's not like a modern day weapon where the breech opens up and you insert a cartridge. It's what we call a muzzle loader. Everything has to be loaded down the barrel, rammed down, shot back out the same way. So it's a bit more involved than a modern day firearm just to get it loaded up. Since it is a bit more involved, you can imagine what we're going to be practicing a lot as a new soldier. Yeah, how to load and how to shoot. So according to the Army manual back then, there are 9 separate steps just to get this thing loaded. So imagine, if you would, I'm out here with 20 or 40 new recruits. We've been marching all around the parade ground trying to learn our left foot from our right foot. The sergeant calls us to a halt. We're in our battle line, shoulder to shoulder, 2 ranks deep, just like we will be when we go to a real battle. And he gives us the command, load in 9 times. 9 times, 9 steps. But when you hear that load in 9 times as opposed to just load, that tells me, the soldier, he's expecting me to do each of those 9 steps as he tells me to do each 9 steps. He is going to walk us through it so that they can make sure we're not building up any bad habits. We can look at you step by step, make sure you're doing it right. So here I am, load in 9 times, ready, load. Load is the command at step number 1. That's where you bring the musket off your shoulder, put it on the ground, hold on to it with your left hand. Command number 2, or step number 2, is handle cartridge. On your right hand side over here, you have a leather pouch called a cartridge box. Guess what we keep in a cartridge box?
Cartridges.
Cartridges. Cartridges go in your cartridge box. What do you put in a lunch box? Lunch. Anyway, yes, bullets, ammo, whatever, your cartridges for your gun. This is the standard issue cartridge box. It will hold 40 cartridges, so I can shoot 40 times before I'm out of bullets and need to figure out what I'm doing. A lot of times they would slap it the first time they get ready to open it. That way if you've been marching into the battlefield, your gunpowder settles in and kind of clumps up. I'm loosening it up so it'll pour easier here in a minute. But reach in, pull out your cartridge. Believe it or not, this is what your cartridge looks like back then. It is in fact a rolled up paper tube. It's got your bullet, your mini ball in the bottom, and your gunpowder pre-measured out on the top. So I don't have to fiddle with a cow horn and a measuring cup, measure my gunpowder out each time. It's ready to go. Fun little side fact, guess who built these or made the cartridges for the Army? No, but that's a good guess, thinking on the right line. Women and children. Yes, send your 6-year-old off to the building full of explosives to sit at a table and roll paper cartridges for 10 hours a day. Great daycare service back then. Yeah. All right. But anyway, that's your cartridge. Now, before you get to step number 3, if you join the military today, you're going to have to see a doctor and pass a physical before they officially let you in.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yes. In the 1860s, do you have to pass a physical to be in the Army?
Yes.
You wouldn't think so. But if you want to be on frontline service, to be a frontline soldier in the Army in the 1860s, there is a
Gotta
bare
have
minimum
3 teeth,
of physical
opposing
fitness that
teeth.
you are expected to pass. Now, it is much, much simpler than what we do to you today. They're just going to look at you and make sure you still have at least 3 of one particular body part. What do you need at least 3 of to be on the front line in the Civil War?
Fingers.
Fingers is a very good guess, but wrong. As long as you've got a
Teeth.
finger,
Teeth.
that's what they're worried about. 3-eyed people are hard to come by.
Teeth.
Teeth is the answer.
Good job.
3 teeth.
So they can rip the cartridge.
Yep, you got to have at least
guess the
3 teeth
Alabama
close
people would make it,
together
huh?
with one opposing. So if all you got's 3, we'll still take you as long as you got 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top. 2
Yeah.
on the top and 1
Sorry,
on the bottom.
that was a good joke.
But you need 3 teeth, just like she said, because my next command is to tear the cartridge open. And since the cartridge is in my right
can't gum
hand, the
it?
gun is in my left, you need 3 teeth. Bite on the top and rip the top of that cartridge off. The next step is you charge the cartridge. That's where you dump the gunpowder out of the barrel. These people over here laughing at me, and I got a loaded gun in my hand. Fiber. Okay, don't go to war with your mouth full, just like. So charge cartridges are the step we're at. We've dumped the gunpowder down. What does that leave in the cartridge? The bullet, the mini ball. What did I say bullets are made of earlier? Lead. And what happens if I shoot a lead bullet in a brick fort full of people?
Somebody gets excited.
Yeah, somebody gets excited. That's one of the better answers I've had. Yes, it goes zing, 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 bouncing around the walls. It comes back to the audience, hits somebody. They get a free trip to MooreHead in a boxy truck with red flashing lights. And then I get to go to the office and fill out paperwork for what's left of my short career. So, I don't. I'm a terrible speller. Anyway, so this is our fake safe simulated bullet we'll be shooting today. Get everybody a good look at this so you know I'm not lying to you. But it is in fact made of grade A government issue, fresh non-recycled toilet paper. We used to be part of the Department of Environment. They like recycling. Anyway, it's a fruit that's hot or something. Real soldiers use real bullets. All right. How many dads do I have in the audience? Any of the dads like to tell me what happens if you shoot a toilet paper bullet at the enemy? This is dad joke written all over it. You wipe them out. That still didn't get it. Bullet goes down the barrel. You need to make sure it's joined with the toilet paper. So the next step is to draw a rammer. Right hand, thumb down. You grab this handy dandy metal stick called the ramrod. Flip it right side up. You want to make sure you flip it right side up by your own head, because remember you have neighbors on either side that would like to keep both of their eyeballs. So flip it right side up, place it on top of the bullet. Next command, ram cartridge. That's where you actually push the bullet down and make sure it gets packed in nice and tight on top of that gunpowder. What's my next step probably going to be?
Remove ramrod.
Take it out,
the
return
ramrod.
rammer. You forget this step, you get to be what I like to call the one-shot wonder of the war. Because you will sling this thing down range. If you get lucky, you might shish kebab an enemy soldier. Probably stick two of them together, possibly, but you ain't going to shoot your gun no more without this metal stick. So we want to make sure we keep up with it, so the Army gives us a special place to hold it on the musket so we don't lose it. Now when you do return the ramrod, a lot of times it'll stick up beyond the end of the barrel. There's a spring hiding down here that holds tension on it so it doesn't fall out when it's not supposed to, but we don't want it stuck beyond the barrel just in case it's bent a little bit. The bullet might catch it and rip it out anyway or tear it up or something. But the Army manual is very specific at this point. It tells you will take the pinky finger of your right hand, and that is what you will use to return the ramrod to its full seated position. Now this is important because of a little thing we like to call Murphy's Law. You all are familiar with Mr. Murphy and his scientific law. It states that if anything bad can happen, it will happen at the worst possible time. What bad can happen while I'm loading the gun? Well, if you're in the middle of a battle shooting this thing as fast as you can, this metal barrel will heat up and get extremely hot, like I'm burning my hand. And on occasion, you can get that barrel so hot that that raw gunpowder I poured in a few minutes ago, it might decide to go off without me pulling the trigger. And the worst time for that to happen is if I get the bad habit of returning the ramrod with the palm of my hand, something like this. My gun goes off accidentally right here. Not only does the gun go off, but my hand goes off with it. And then we've lost that trigger finger that we were talking about earlier. I can't be a soldier anymore. So we want to make sure we get all of our soldiers in the habit. Pinky finger, no part of our body is over this loaded musket. What step am I on? Man, you're the gun guy. You're supposed to be keeping count.
Step is he on?
I'd say he's on 8.
You are correct. Step number 8. Step number 8 is prime. And if I can get all y'all to start working your way around past the staircase, I will eventually be shooting down that direction. That goes for everybody.
You don't
up
want to get
top,
wiped
too.
out.
They don't like me to have people in front. Step number 8 is prime. Let's pretend I've been standing this way. So at prime, you take your right foot, you bring it around behind your left. This blades yourself to the enemy and keeps your musket pointing down range as opposed to pointing it at y'all or my neighbors next door to me. So right foot around over here. Pull the hammer to half cock. Clicks once. This is kind of like a safety. If you pull on the trigger right now, nothing is supposed to happen. This is also where your grandma got the fun old saying, don't go off. Half cock. At half cock, if you've been shooting, there'll be an old percussion cap under the hammer that you've got to get rid of. This is what we call a percussion locked weapon. It works off percussion caps. These caps are extremely similar to what you might have used with a toy cap gun or a toy cap pistol, except they're made of brass instead of plastic or paper. Chemical inside is about the same, fulminated mercury that explodes on impact. So if you can see how narrow this gap is between the hammer and the cone, that is just barely big enough to get this cap in its place. It's about the size of a pencil eraser. So I'm going to give it a squeeze and then kind of gently roll it onto the cone under the hammer. That is prime, step number 8. Simple enough so far, right? It actually is. It's not too bad. I could probably teach most of y'all in half an hour, get you fairly proficient at this. But then when you remember what's happening to you as a soldier while you're trying to do all this. Yeah, somebody's shooting back at me. There's bullets whizzing past my head. Smoke's covered the battlefield. Cannonballs are exploding in the air. Maybe body parts are flying in front of my face. People screaming in pain. Bob next door just got hit by a cannonball. Splat. Wipe Bob off. And calmly finish loading your musket while you try to look as intimidating as possible to the enemy. Now do we understand why we practice so much in the Army? Yeah, you need to be able to do this without thinking about what you have to do because you're under a lot of stress. I like to tell folks this will be my 6th year doing these demonstrations. I think I know what I'm doing, but you throw me in a time machine back to the 1860s and there's real bullets flying past my head, I will probably turn into instant Barney Fife long before I get to this spot.
What's the average on loading ones?
We'll get to that. Those kids look confused. Okay, you can't do my Barney Fife joke. All right, so that was step number 8 to crime. How many total steps? 9. So what's step number 9 probably going to be? Shoot them, kill them, blast away. Step number 9 is to shoulder arms and stand at attention. Yes, while we are still getting shot at. Because I am in the Army, which means I don't do anything till I'm given what?
The command.
Order. I was given an order earlier. It starts with an L. What was that order? Load. Am I loaded?
Yes.
At least my musket is. Hopefully not me at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. But anyway, yes. They have told me to load. They have not said a thing in the world about shooting yet. Now we wait for an order to fire. When you do finally get a command to fire, 3 more steps to shoot it. Yep, 9 to load, 3 to shoot. Now most of you probably know the 3 steps to shoot, even if you don't know that you know them. So I'll get everybody started. Ready, aim, fire. Command ready. You do that little step like we did at prime and bring the weapon over, but this time you pull the hammer all the way back to full cock. Aim, it goes on your shoulder. You look down the sight to your target. Fire, you pull the trigger. If everything happens correctly, it goes boom and the enemy falls down. Now, even though this was the latest, greatest technology of the time, there's still potential for things to go wrong and a misfire to happen. The biggest problem in my mind is, what's my ammo in?
A non-water,
Paper.
yeah, non-waterproof
So
pouch.
if it's been a rainy day and you had to hike through the swamp, or you're in North or South Carolina where the humidity is oppressive, your gunpowder might be kind of damp. But anyway, where am I going? I've done this enough, I shouldn't be getting lost. All right. I think we've got a clear range. They're not heading that way. All right, for everybody that showed up a little bit late, here's my very quick Cliff Notes version on how this is about to work. It also gives me a dumb excuse to relive my childhood, the glory days of the Micro Machines commercials. Nobody laughed this afternoon? Okay, this might just be confusing. All right, here we go. At the command to fire, pull the trigger, the hammer falls on the cap, makes the cap explode, it sends fire through the coating of the base of the barrel to the gunpowder, makes the gunpowder explode, turns from a solid to a gas, causes a lot of pressure, pushes the bullet down the barrel, downrange the target. For safety, what's their bullet made of today?
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. So if you leave here with nothing else from your trip to the fort, we do hope you'll always have a whole new outlook and respect for the phrase, 3 sheets to the wind. All right. That might be the last one. All right. All joking aside, this will be loud down in the fort, so if you need to cover your ears, turn off hearing aids, watch your little kids, whatever preparations you need to do, don't say it didn't tell you. Yeah, if y'all could go on that side of the steps for me.
Thanks for ringing the rest of the day.
Okay.
It's loud in here.
Ready! Aim! Fire!